So is the Roborock Curv 2 Flow better than the Mova Z60 Ultra? Well, let's compare them and find out, because this was my best robot vacuum of 2025. The Mova Z60 Ultra uses 12 nozzles to deliver water to its roller versus 8 nozzles that the Roborock Curv 2 Flow utilizes. There's also going to be that metal area where you're getting most of the drainage going into the dirty water tank, and that's going to be that scraper tool that locks in, and that is also going to be acting as the fluffer brush. The difference really comes down to is that the Roborock is utilizing a different style of fluffer brush where it's going to have more space, so it's going to be able to retain larger particles than what you have on your Mova. The dirty water tank is actually being fed by a pump. When you compare that design to the Roborock is going to have multiple holes here, and this is where it's going to be injecting the liquid into the roller. And when I pop it off, you're going to have a catch here, and the catch, if I install this in,
dirty water channel installed,
and that's the hole where the dirty water is going to get scraped and pulled into. So remove it.
Dirty water tank removed.
You can see the dirty water tank directly fills in from the basin. The roller inside the Roborock is kind of going to have a slightly larger diameter, but everything else about it is just about the same. Even the material is going to be the same. If you look at the locking areas, they're very similar as well. It's just that the Roborock is going to be a little bit bigger. The crazy part is that when you compare this design, which allows your unit to kind of put a lot of its weight in the back versus one that's going to have a traditional spin mop, I find that the spin mops just are not able to apply as much pressure, and they're not going to be coming with the dirty tank, so whatever it's scraping off, where is that debris going afterwards? It's just going back on your floor. Here, the debris is getting scraped off, and then it's going and being fed into the dirty tank in the back. Same design on your Roborock. The debris here is getting scraped off by the scraper, and it is going into the dirty tank in the back. However, these spin pads are also going to be able to lift themselves higher than what you get on units that just use the roller pads. The roller pads, these can lift and give you about 14 to 15 millimeters of clearance, or just about maybe 1.5 centimeters, not a lot, especially if you have carpet. But your spin pads give you closer to about 22 millimeters or 2 centimeters, so that's a little less than 1 inch, so you get way more clearance with those mop pads. And if you take a closer look at their clean stations, you notice more differences, where the Mova Z60 Ultra uses 176 degrees Fahrenheit or 80 degrees Celsius hot water to wash itself, and your Curv 2 Flow will use about 167 degree water to wash itself. So the Z60's water will be a little bit hotter, and that just helps it clean and remove oily particles off of its roller mop pads better. The Roborock will also have that updated cleaning tray inside, where the water can only flow in one direction and not be commingled, and that's in contrast to something like you see here on your Mova, where the water will really saturate the entire area and then be sucked out, but some dirty water can still remain. One area where your Roborock will beat out the Mova and the Dreamies is going to be the cleanliness of the self-cleaning station. There's just less leaks, and everything is going to be going into the dirty water tank more efficiently, at least in my opinion, based on the design of the One Direction cleaning tray versus what you get on the Mova or the Dreamy. It is going to also be very effective, but not as effective at detecting dirt on the roller and making it ultra clean like you get on the Narwhal Flow.
Hold on, let's show them what's inside here.
I'm gonna do it. One of the biggest differences between the Curv 2 and the Curv 2 Flow will be that self-empty tray. So you see here, because it uses a spin mop, it's going to have a different tray than what you get which uses a roller mop. Both are going to be removable, both are going to be able to clean themselves, but the configuration is going to be quite different. We're going to run some vacuum tests with our Roborock CurvX, our Roborock Curv 2 Flow, and our Mova Z60. What I want to know is how well it handles cords. And the most important cord that most of us will have that usually interferes with our robot vacuums is right here. It is going to be this iPhone cable. So we're just going to drop this iPhone cable right in the center of this floor, and we're going to see how well these robot vacuums handle that. Because is it going to ignore it, or is it going to get tangled up in it? And just to give it an additional kind of obstacle, we're also going to give it this, which is going to be a second cord or a plug. We'll place it against the wall here. And if you look at the performance of the Qrevo CurvX, you can see that it has marked the cords. It also did not touch the cords. So now we're going to run the same test using the Curv 2 Flow. And this is the map that the Curv 2 Flow generated. It looks very similar to what we already saw on the CurvX. It marked where the cords are and it avoided them. It made a whole area zone to avoid them. Your Mova Z60 does avoid the cords as well, and then it takes a second look at it with its smart sight. That's something that your Roborock does not do. How does it avoid this cord here? It will notice it, and then it will make a zone around it and then avoid it. So similar to what the Roborock now does, the Dreamies and the Movas also, they notice an obstacle, they make a very cautious zone around it, and then they completely avoid that entire zone now. The biggest performance difference between models like the Curvs and things like the Z60 as well as the Ceros lineup from Roborock will be that the premium models come with bigger batteries. So what you get with the Z60 is a 6400 milliampere hour battery. What you get with the Aqua 10 and what you get with the Ceros are all going to be 6400 milliampere hour. What you get with the Curv 2 Flow is going to be 5200 milliampere hour. So you're getting about 9% less battery life. However, in terms of normal use, I do say that you won't notice unless you're letting your robot vacuum. Is it going to be a big deal if you are the type that wants your robot vacuum to be meticulous, or you have a very large home? Because 5200 milliampere hours translates to about 2 hours of runtime versus about 2.5 hours of runtime in real world use on the premium lineups with 6400 milliampere hours. Looking at the Roborock Curv 2 Flow side by side with the Mova Z60, you can see that there are some obvious differences already. Your Mova Z60 Ultra comes with a retractable LiDAR, which allows it to go under tables as well as obstacles just about half an inch shorter than what your Roborock Curv 2 Flow can do. And Roborock is claiming because they have this type of design, it's just less likely to get tangled by any cords. But at the same time, you look at the side brush on your Mova, the Mova also has those retracting side brushes so it doesn't get tangled as well. It's just that it's going to have more reach because it's going to extend outward. And in terms of practical applications, the LiDAR that you get on your Roborock and the LiDAR that you get on the Mova, they do just about the same thing. They're not going to have more range than the other. I don't think one particularly does a better job recognizing what's around it than the other. It's just that you have the retractable one on the Mova that goes up and down versus one that's going to be static at all times and spinning on your Roborock. And when you compare the Curv 2 Flow and the CurvX side by side, you see that there's a huge difference. Look how thin this is versus this. And your Curv 2 Flow is going to be way heavier, which allows it to put much more pressure on the floor. But the biggest differences are going to lie when you just spin it around. So once I spin this around, there's going to be some obvious similarities, but there's going to be some big differences. As much as I love the dual brushes that might be a little bit longer, as you see here on your Curv 2 Flow, it's not going to have the reach of a extendable side brush, especially one that has a long brush to begin with. Then if you look at the wheels, about the same. The depth of chassis is going to be the same. The duo divide brushes are the same, but the
Mount removed.
mop mounts are going to be different. So this is the mop mount on the CurvX. And this can be extending outward so you get more range, but it doesn't have a dirty water tank. As long as you have a extendable mop pad, as long as you have a spin mop pad, there's nowhere for the liquid to go. So once this is wet, so basically what happens with these spinning mop pad units is that once this is saturated, it's got to go back to its station, clean itself, rinse itself, and then go out again and so basically with these spin mop pads, the main feature was that it would clean itself, and after a certain amount of time or capacity, and the main feature on these mop pads was that after a certain amount of time or space, the unit would go back to its clean station, clean these mop pads using hot water, and then go out again and clean again. They also try to reinforce all of the potential areas that your dirty water tank can leak, because on your Dreamy Aqua 10 people complain about leaks here. So you have to put a good amount of force in order to open this up. And they updated the design of the dirty water tank here, so you have a catch. This can be removed. The difference in the design of the dirty water tank means that the debris is getting pulled into here, and then it's getting pumped into the dirty water tank.
Use the water tank with the robot removed.
This is the Mova Z60's dirty water tank, and very similar to what we see on our Dreamy Aqua 10, and you saw that how easily I was able to pop it open. It's not going to be as well sealed. Now the biggest weakness of this design is that any large debris was not going to be inside of a catch, so that it would mix in, and with all these crevices, this would be way harder to clean. On your Mova Z60, it's going to come with that Pro Lead system, so it can cross thresholds up to 6 centimeters or about 2.5 inches. And when you get to this on the Roborock, it has that adapt lift. And adapt lift is the same that we see on our Ceros 10R. This is meant to be able to go over thresholds about 1.5 inches. The biggest difference I find, and the biggest improvement that the Mova does over what the Roborock is doing, is that the Mova Z60 was the upgraded version of the, and I'll take this out. This is the upgraded version of the Dreamy Aqua 10, in my opinion. So they upgraded the software. They still come with the ability to cross higher thresholds based on their adapt lift chassis versus the Roborock. And if you take a closer look at what you're getting from the Mova, you're getting a 2-brush anti-tangle system. So this is their Turbo Wave Detangling Duo Brush. You also get these heavy-duty wheels. And you're getting this right here. And I don't know if you guys can see this well. This little silicone piece allows and traps moisture, water, and other debris and funnels it out away from the wheels. Or if it's a liquid, go into the rolling mop pad area, and this will suck up all of that liquid off the floor and put it inside of its dirty water tank in the back. So by all indications, you would think that the Mova Z60 Ultra would be much better in terms of navigating your home than what you would get on the simpler reactive, the reactive AI tech that you get on the Roborock Curv 2 Flow. But I find that's not the case, because even though on this case, it's not going to have lots of little bubbles saying, oh, this is going to be a cord, and this is your shoes, and this is this, and that's a chair. But it doesn't matter, because ultimately, unless this is trying to figure out, okay, are you looking for a chair? If your main role for your robot vacuum is to clean your floors and mop your floors, the only thing that really matters is, can it get around your floors without getting stuck? And I would go and say that I think the Curv 2 Flow's navigation here is the best that Roborock has ever put out. Because in terms of obstacles, it is the most avoidant. So what that means is that it doesn't have the best object recognition system here. It has AI reactive tech. This is not StarSight. This is not going to be what you see from the Ceros 10R lineup. But what it does do is that it understands that something's in front of it. I want to avoid it, so I'm not going to touch it. But finally, how does it do in terms of mopping? because you're only getting about 15 N of downward pressure here. But at the same time, on the Mova Z60, you might be getting 17 N, and on the Dreamy Aqua 10, you're getting 18 N. But that N is not really going to translate to better performance. The things you got to know is that your Roborock here, what it can do is that the side brushes can deactivate if it sees dirt in front of it. So that dirt detection there allows the side brushes to stay clean if there's something dirty on the floor. Another thing this can do is that the self-empty station, like we see on the CurvX, comes with dirt detection. So that AI dirt detection system here is going to clean the mop pads again better if the mop pad water is dirty. So at this point, now you know all of the differences between the Mova Z60 and the Roborock Curv 2 Flow. Once you start using them, it's going to be real obvious which one's better for what task. The Mova Z60 is great if you have high pill carpet because it can pick itself up, it's going to move at a medium height and then drop itself down when it can for low pill carpet or for flatter floors. That's something that the Z60 excels at. If you're talking about overall pathing and just making sure it has the most predictable performance every time, the Roborock excels at that. So you really got to pick which one you're looking for. The Z60 is going to be more feature rich and your Roborock Curv 2 Flow is going to be more predictable. And if you want predictable, like if you're a Toyota driver, you might want to get the Roborock, but if you drive, let's say, a Honda, you might want to get something like the Mova Z60. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below, and please hit that like or subscribe button. It really does help support our channel. I love doing these reviews for y'all, so I'll catch you next time. This is Dave with the French Glow signing off. Bye, bye, bye.